I'm attorney Howard Ankin here with Justice Reyes, here to talk about the upcoming March 17th, 2020 Supreme Court Justice race. Justice Reyes, it's great having you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Howard.
And we look forward to hearing about your candidacy.
I look forward to talking about it.
I'm calling you Justice instead of Judge. Why is that?
Well, technically, we are judges on the appellate court pursuant to the Constitution, but the Supreme Court refers to judges on the appellate court as justice, and that's why everybody calls us justice.
But what is the position that you currently hold now?
Currently, I'm an appellate court judge on 1st District, which is encompassing Cook County.
And what type of cases do you hear now?
We hear everything. So we hear criminal cases and we hear civil cases as well.
And prior to becoming a justice, tell us a little bit of your background. How did you get to where you're at today?
Well, as a judge, I started out as an associate judge, and I served as an associate judge for a number of years. As soon as I became an associate judge, I went to the chief judge and the presiding judge of the First Municipal, and I said, you know, if you need anybody to fill in when someone's sick, on vacation, dies, or retires, I'm your person. And so they took me up on it, and for the first few years that I was a judge, I had my robe in the trunk most of the time, you know, traveling from one courthouse to the other. But in the process, learning a lot about our system, learning a lot about the people, and a lot about the administration of justice. Then I became a circuit court judge. I ran for the circuit court judge. One of the distinctions is that I was the first Latino to win countywide to run for the circuit court of Cook County. And I served as a circuit court judge for a number of years. I was in the Chancery Division before going on the appellate court, and then I've been on the appellate court since 2012.
And what did you do prior to the time before you became a judge?
Well, prior to becoming a judge, I went right out of law school. I was in private practice. I did plaintiff's personal injury and workers' comp. Then from there, I went to the Corporation Counsel's office. I was in the Torts Division. I was assigned to the Special Litigation Division. That was the division that handled all the matters that were $1 million or above in terms of liability. And then from there, I went to the Board of Education, and I worked at the Board of Education prior to going on the bench.
And how long were you a circuit court judge?
I was a circuit court judge for about 10 years.
And then how long have you been an appellate court justice?
I've been under since 2012, so almost 8 years.
And what's the reason why you want to be a Supreme Court justice?
I want to be a Supreme Court justice because for me as a public servant, I've always believed in public service. It is the ultimate venue in the judiciary to provide public service to the public. The Supreme Court not only hears cases, but it's also the body that sets the rules and the procedures by which all of us have to abide by.
Why do you think you're the best candidate to be the next Supreme Court justice?
Well, I bring diversity of practice, diversity of experience, and diversity of perspective. So with regards to practice, out of law school I started out as plaintiff's personal injury and workers' comp attorney. And during that period of time I learned how to become a trial lawyer, and the skills and abilities, and I learned about the suffering that a lot of people have in our communities.
So you're saying there's hope for me yet?
Yes, there definitely is. And I got to know the inner workings of the city. I got to know the various divisions and departments of the city of Chicago, and I got to know the people of the city of Chicago even better, and particularly the employees. And then from there, I went on to the Board of Education, and I worked at the Board of Education, working in policy and reform division, which was a great opportunity because I got to work with administrators, I got to work with political leaders, governmental leaders, and then also with the educators. And I learned a lot about education as a result of that. But also, I had the opportunity to try cases in state court and federal court. I tried cases before juries, tried before a judge on a bench trial. I did arbitrations, mediations. So I developed the experience in various facets of the profession as a lawyer and then as a judge. In the first few years that I was on the bench, I was traveling around the county, and sitting in a variety of different assignments, hearing a variety of different type of matters, learning the system from the inside out, and becoming very well acquainted with the administration of justice in Cook County. And I think that's helped me out tremendously in terms of my experience sitting on the appellate court now, because on many occasions, having been in those courtrooms, having heard those matters, tried those matters, I'm kind of familiar with what is happening when we read the record, because that's all we have is just a record as an appellate court judge. I bring that to the Supreme Court in terms of the experience, in terms of diversity, in terms of perspective. I've always been one who, if I see a situation that needs to be addressed, I address it. When I was in traffic court, I became part of a program where we helped out people in the marginalized areas, economically disadvantaged communities that were coming into the courtroom, and it was obvious that they weren't aware of their rights, they weren't aware of the consequences of breaking the law, particularly a DUI or if they were under substance. So I took it upon myself to go out there and conduct a lot of public forums with regards to domestic violence. When I was in the Chancery Division hearing mortgage foreclosure cases and mechanics liens, and we were there at the height of the foreclosure crisis. And one of the things that we realized very early on was this, the materials that we had to go through, that one individual could not necessarily just do it by themselves.
When you ran as a judge, was that a countywide election?
Well, I started out as an associate judge, and that is an election where the circuit court judges select you, and they do that based on your experience and your knowledge. So you're vetted by the bar associations and then vetted by the circuit court judges. But then when I ran for the circuit court, I ran countywide, and even though I was the first Latino to run successfully in a countywide race, I was elected by all the individuals within all the voters within the county. So it was a countywide race, yes.
If you could say to somebody briefly what sets you apart as far as being the best candidate for Supreme Court Justice, what do you think that would be?
That I am someone who believes in public service. I think we need to have people who, on the bench, who are in communication with people in their communities. Not just one community, but all communities, and understand what is taking place and become sensitive to the issues that they're dealing with on a daily basis. And then how can you sit in judgment of someone if you have no opportunity to be out there with them and to understand what they're going through on a daily basis? And I think that's very important, and I think that's what sets me apart from everybody else.
When you were growing up as a young person in Pilsen, where did you think your career was going to be taking you?
I always dreamed of being a lawyer. I never knew if the opportunity was really going to happen. I had to work my way through life to get through college. I had to pay my way through college, and same thing with law school. But I always dreamed about being a lawyer. I always felt that the lawyer was the ultimate in terms of service, because they're the ones who speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And I think that's important for practitioners and for people to realize that you want somebody on the Supreme Court who's going to listen to both sides and then make a determination once you have received all the evidence, all the facts, and the law, and then make that decision. I believe in the passage in the book of Deuteronomy, which says, "Follow justice and justice alone," and that's what's always driven me as a lawyer and then also as a judge. So I always want to make sure that I strive to do justice.
March 17th, 2020 is a primary, but why is it really important for the voters to come out and vote on March 17th?
Well, March 17th is the primary, but they also can come out for early voting, which starts on March 2nd and goes through the 16th, and it's an opportunity for everybody to come out to vote. And so it's important to do your homework, to look at the judicial candidates, not only look at in terms of their experience, but what have they done in terms of their years on the bench or years of practice. I think that's very important. My view has always been that the courtrooms belong to the people. All right, it's the people's courtroom. It's not the judge's courtroom. It's not the circuit court or the administrator's courtroom. It's the people's courtroom, and they should make a determination who they want sitting in those courtrooms.
Has the state of Illinois ever had someone of a Hispanic background as a Supreme Court justice?
We've never had the opportunity to have a Latino on the Supreme Court.
So if you were elected, this would be a first for us?
Yes, it would be the first for the Cook County and the state of Illinois to have a Latino on the Supreme Court. And I should note also that I'm the only Latino on the appellate court in the entire state of Illinois as well.
Is there anything of a personal nature that you'd like to let us know, let people know who are voting for you know a little bit more about who you are?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I'm very proud of is that it's not only just me, but it's a family affair in terms of public service. You know, my wife's been always very supportive of me in terms of all the things that I do on and off the bench. And you know, my daughter right now is currently teaching second grade. She's following the path of becoming a teacher and being a public servant. And I'm very proud of her for that, because she could have taken any other avenues that she wanted to, but you know, she really believes in public service and giving back.
Is there anything you'd like to tell our Spanish-speaking audience?
Yes. Su voto es su voz. Este año tienen la oportunidad de elegir el primer latino en la Corte Suprema de Illinois. So, por favor, vayan a votar empezando el 2 de marzo hasta el 17 de marzo. Si no votan en la primaria, no van a tener la oportunidad para votar para mí en noviembre. So, voten esta primaria de marzo 2 al 17.
Justice Reyes, this has been really great talking to you here today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Look forward to hearing about your success in the 2020 Supreme Court Justice race.
Thank you very much.